hell do you do?
Right.
Yeah.
I had that problem half my life, before.
Isn't that a tough problem? Like,
Yeah.
like little Jimmy's a great guitar player. Like he's got 10,000 followers on Instagram. Like, can you play, your grandma's visiting. Can you play her a song? It's like, no, Mom, it doesn't work like that. I'm a different kind of guitar player.
Yeah. I remember when I was 9 years old and my grandmother was visiting from Florida and come down and play guitar for us. And I think I was played through like a Nirvana song or something on heavy distortion.
I did the same thing.
And that was my big performance,
My grandma was visiting one time and I was just starting to play the guitar. I was probably like 13 and I was playing some Hendrix thing and I saw Hendrix do some trill thing and like wiggle his tongue.
Right.
And then I did that to my grandma and she's like,
oh man, what a scene.
She was the one paying for guitar lessons.
So this is what you're learning, right?
Yeah. Like that guitar teacher better teach you some nice music or I'm canceling them right away.
Nick, it's so good to see you.
Yeah, I know. It's been a very, very long time. So, man, what have you been up to for 10 years? 17 years.
Has it really been 17 years since we saw each other at NASA? That was maybe 2006. I was last there.
Yeah, so close to...
Yeah, a while ago.
What the fuck? What the hell happens with the time? It doesn't.
Thinking about it, I haven't done that much.
So I did the classical guitar thing for exactly like less than a year. That like NCC was the last time I did.
And then you went over to Purchase, right?
And then I went to Purchase. I did the jazz thing, and then the metal thing, then the jazz metal combined thing, and every now and then I lean a little bit more jazz or lean a little bit more metal. But I've never gotten back to classical. I've got a couple Bach pieces sitting around somewhere that I open up every now and then to just kind of go back and revisit some of that. But
you know who plays Bach really well? I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right. Chris Tilley.
On the
mandolin. Yeah. Oh yeah. He tears it up.
Oh, does he really? I didn't know that.
Yep.
That's good to know. So what kind of stuff are you focused on? I always see you with the lute, not like a classical guitar.
Yeah, I would say since college, I've been playing the lute since I was 19. So a little bit after I started classical guitar, maybe when I was 16. And before that, I was playing rock and metal and jazz and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And so this whole time after Nassau Community College, I guess what I've been doing, I've been just gigging. I started teaching at Delphi shortly after I left. After Nassau, I went on to Delphi, and then I started teaching there for a little bit. And then I started teaching at Nassau Community College and gigging with the lute and probably mostly classical guitar just because there were more gigs. Mm.
So how did you end up sticking with in that direction? Like, I mean, you don't stick with classical guitar because there's loads of chicks, or maybe
right. Oh, definitely not.
or maybe you do. I bet there are though. I mean, honestly, the metal jazz thing has done zero for me. Like if I pull up my Instagram insights right now and show you, it's like 99% males from like from New York,
right,
New York and LA. So I mean, I'm not in it for the chicks either. I'm married now. So, but you know what I mean? Like going back.
I don't know. I feel like in the end, I still play classical guitar, of course, but there's something that really pulls me towards early music. Because back then in the 16th, 17th century, there was a lack of standardization. People played in all kinds of frequencies, all kinds of temperaments. Yeah. There were so many different kinds of lutes. Yeah. All different styles going on. I think music was more cultural at the time as well. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't sort of have that snooty feel that sometimes classical music has.
What doesn't have the snooty feel?
The Renaissance music and the Baroque music. It feels, they're almost like the hippies of the classical world, you know?
Yeah, I was going to ask,
more
have
laid
you
back
done any Renaissance fairs?
No, never.
I would totally do that if I might just learn a little lute just so I can go play a Renaissance fair. Yeah, I mean, have you heard the term common practice, like the musical common practice, or is that something that's only floated by, like, in my...
Yeah, I haven't heard the term.
Maybe so I think it's just a reference to, like, the standardization of all this stuff. Like you had mentioned temperament, so the common practice is at a certain point we all said, okay, so this is going to be the language we all speak. It's going to be these notes, and it's going to be cut up into 12 pieces per octave, and let's all agree that this is the way that music is supposed to sound. And voila, you know, for hundreds of years we have the musical common practice. And yeah, to your point before that, if you it's really something I would love to spend more time on, but you can't do everything. At some point in my life I will, but like going back to like 1400s choir music, and I'm trying to pull up a memory from my archives of listening to some like 1400s choir music with a teacher that was talking to me about temperament at Purchase College, and it was just some of the outest stuff, like weird resolutions and, you know, parallel fifths all over the place that sounded awesome. And you know, to your point, there was no standardization of what the rules were yet.
Right.
So no one was kind of jumping down their throat saying, "Hey, that's not the right way to do things," or "That's not the way you resolve."
Plenty of experimentation was going on.
Yeah,
all different aspects. Yeah.
Well, weren't things also built like linearly and not harmonically for the most part back then?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. So what's interesting is, I would say, you know, into the Baroque period and to present day, counterpoint or the polyphony is dictated by the harmony, right? Where harmony is sort of a consequence of the polyphony prior to that. So
before time, in the before times, harmony was a consequence of the polyphony.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and yeah, because you can't.
So that's another thing. Another reason I gravitate towards that music. It's just, it interests me. You know.
Yeah,
there's this feeling of searching and multiple lines swimming around each other, and a lot of conversation.
And jazz actually tends to be kind of the opposite, where the melody and solos are a consequence of your structure of block chords.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
I didn't really become that familiar with the term block chords until kind of recently. Like, I was thinking, you know, I was working on like some minor stuff, I think, and I was like, oh, you know, wouldn't it be cool to apply some of that classical concept, like melodic minor up, harmonic minor down, to some of this minor, to some minor licks.
Right.
And I was talking about that with somebody, and they were like, well, you know, in chances are in a jazz setting, you're going to have a keyboard, like a piano player who's playing a block chord. You know, they're going to play this voicing for some extended period of time, and chances are they're not going to change that major six to a minor six, like in that time frame. They're probably going to hit like a Dorian sound and hang out there for a while. So for you to mix and match, you know, would probably sound a little strange. I mean, I don't know if I totally agree. I've tried it, and to my ears, it sounds okay. But then I had started thinking, well, you know, what if you're playing trio? And you know, I think in a trio setting where it's just maybe guitar, bass, and drums, there's less of that block chord structure, so the soloist can have more flexibility with the melody. And again, like the harmony might just be a consequence of what they're playing, but that's not how my brain works. Actually, I think my brain is more like, I'm going to play this bright Dorian sound here, and then I'm going to quickly change to this softer, like natural minor sound for a moment, and then, you know, because I'm such a practiced musician at this point. Like, I've gone to school and thought about all this stuff that it's hard for me to not play a major six over minor and think like of all the different terminology that I've learned.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff for sure. All different types of music just different ways of sort of navigating around the melody or the harmony, or I guess that's what makes style, right?
Yeah. What do you know about temperament?
Okay, so I guess today the standard temperament is equal temperament, right? So it's this idea that every half step is sort of the same distance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in the Renaissance, I mean, they had equal temperament, but the main temperament I play in is a 6 comma mean tone. So actually the thirds are more pure. So they're closer to like a pure third you would hear in nature, where in the medieval period or the Baroque period and onward, they catered more to fifths and pure fifths. So, and of course, there are all different types of temperaments. So if you looked at my lute isn't in tune, but if we looked at the frets, you'll notice they're not even. You'll have a larger fret and a smaller fret.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
And they're movable. It's tied on gut. So you could easily switch the temperaments, and maybe I'll go to a quarter mean tone or eighth comma mean tone. I'm mostly playing a sixth though, just because it kind of suits the repertoire I'm playing right now best.
Wow, interesting. So yeah, because no one really, I guess it's all close enough at the end of the day. But the guitar, like the guitar that I play, it's a pretty out of tune instrument. Like.
Yeah.
All things considered, fourths and fifths are okay, but I mean, this is why like scaled fan frets came out, right? Like to compensate for the lower strings having a longer distance between half steps than the higher strings, and that tries to fix it. And there's some wacky fretting too now that I think some brands have tried to where it's like kind of jagged. It compensates.
Oh yeah, because they're trying to go for a true equal temperament.
Yeah.
Where guitar, since you have the straight frets of course it can't be a perfect equal temperament, but that's kind of what gives guitar its really nice, like inviting sound, I think, is that it's not perfect.
Yeah.
Because perfect equal temperament's kind of like a MIDI file, so.
Yeah.
I'm not really a fan of those zigzag frets because of that, but I'm sure it's cool, that it would influence how you write music or how you hear music and right.
Yeah.
How you compose and improvise and everything. So there's that too.
Yeah, but even on MIDI, like if you have MIDI has decided what a C sounds like and an E sounds like, but if you play a C and E together, those are not technically. That's still a compensation. That E should be a little bit sharper. I think if I'm remembering this correctly. Oh yeah, right. So that is equal temperament, right? Because
that would be equal temperament.
Yeah.
Actually, in equal temperament, major third's a little sharp.
I see.
Third. Pure thirds are a little flatter. Yeah, a little lower.
They should be flatter.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it's a compromise, right? The other thing cool about those other temperaments, like the comma mean tone I was discussing, is since each half step isn't equal. Different keys don't just mean, a higher range or a lower range. You got to think if you play G versus C and so on, the half steps between the different scale degrees are different now.
Change,
so it's like C Dorian and D Dorian. They're going to also have their own character, even though they're both Dorian. So that's kind of interesting too.
Yeah, I wonder if this drives people with perfect pitch nuts, like playing an organ.
Probably,
And
my wife's an excellent pianist, and she has perfect pitch, but it doesn't bother her. She's has like open-minded perfect pitch. I like to think of it open-minded because I have other friends with perfect pitch, and if they hear the interval and they're like, "Oh, that's not right,"
Yeah,
and it bugs them. It'll bug them if you're playing at 415 and not 440. Like, how is that the key of C? I hear B. Right. Yeah,
or if you're the violinist assigned to playing the major third in some chord at the end, and to make it sound better, you got to go a little bit flatter than what you normally would have played.
Right.
And so now you're probably having this internal battle in your head, like, I don't want to do it, but fine.
Right.
I'll play a slightly flat E. I don't know, but I guess I have pretty good eyesight. If I see a green that's not, perfect green, I don't care.
Right, exactly. In the end, your ears are going to tell you what's good. Whatever sounds good, go with that. Right?
Yeah.
It's like when orchestras play together. Again, even though we're in this world of equal temperament, they're not actually playing an equal temperament, because when they strike a chord all together, they're a good orchestra, they'll tune with each other. They're not all tuning to this mechanical tuner, with a specific frequency. It would sound much different.
That's a good point. Yeah, if everyone kind of came in tuning to their own tuner, it wouldn't really do much good. You kind of have to tune to the rest of the...
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff I know a little bit about. I wish I knew more.
Yeah, me too. There was a period where in like I think my senior year of college, where I was probably like smoking too much weed and probably drinking too much. And
yeah, we've all had those days, right?
Yeah. Total waste of time, honestly. Like how weird of a musician can I be? Like, how can I detune my guitar to the point where, how can I experiment with this temperament stuff? And at the end of the day, it just, I don't think it was the right time for me to be experimenting with it. I don't think I knew enough about the common practice. I don't think I knew enough about like what I was going to be playing in the real world to be tinkering with that. I mean, that's whatever. I guess I could have been, a different kind of musician, but I even had asked one of the teachers there just out for coffee a couple of times, just to ask more about temperament. He had written some books on temperament, and I still find it very interesting. It's just a world that I feel like would take hours and hours of, research and studying to understand. And then on top of that, how do I apply it to my own music, which would probably not suit the kind of stuff that I'm doing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
There is a great guitar player, Dave Fuzinski, though, doing some stuff. Do you know Dave Fuzinski?
No, I haven't heard. Yeah.
Oh, you haven't heard Dave? Are we lagging right now? Check.
We're good.
Looks good.
Nicholas, welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back, Nick.
Thanks.
Good to see you.
Thanks for waiting for me, guys. I guess some technical difficulties. Where were we? Man, so funny. The moment that things stop working, it's like, what do I do?
We just move on. Whatever, whatever we want to talk about now, right?
Yeah, where have you been playing? Like, just what are the classical venues like? Just whatever, anything.
Are we talking during the pandemic or before the pandemic? Because things have definitely changed. Like, there's this new edge of excitement right now. Because when the pandemic hit, that's right around the time my wife and we had our son. So I just didn't perform for a while. I was just sort of, teaching remotely and, raising a kid and everything. So I only started gigging again I had a few gigs. I played a couple of funerals, actually. Morbid joke, but it's true, And, but I only started doing concerts again maybe in last May.
Wow.
So I've been playing really small, intimate places, like even like living room concerts through this organization called Group Muse. So those have been a ton of fun. Small audiences, 10, 15 people, playing places like libraries or small performing arts rooms and whatnot. So
neat. We were just talking about this with Jared the other day, like how ever since the pandemic, there's this new, interest in just playing wherever you can play. We were talking about, like breweries all over New York City and Queens and stuff, just having jazz music now or live music or, musicians that we used to see only playing, throughout college and throughout college, you'd only see it like Blue Note or, 55 bar. It's not around anymore. It was also a different caliber, but they're just deciding to pick up and play like on the sidewalk.
Right. Yep. You see that a lot in Brooklyn right now, and throughout the pandemic, I've been seeing that as well. And it's great though. I mean, there's so much excitement. The crowds are smaller and everything, but I don't have a problem with that. I think if one person leaves saying, "Oh, I have to listen to some more lute music. I really enjoyed that," then I did my job and I'm happy about that.
Yeah, it makes me because I've been reaching out to some local places to see if they would have some jazz music and like solo guitar or whatever I can put together. And some places ignore you, some places get back, and just makes me think, why don't I just like go to the park downtown and set up my guitar with a little amp, and people will come and probably sit around and listen to what I'm doing.
Oh yeah, why not,
like,
right?
Why do I need to go and do it at a restaurant?
Yeah.
I guess, well, one would be paying, the other would be paying, but I don't know. I'm not doing this for money anyway. So what do I care?
Right, yeah.
I don't know. I should try it. It's like it's all just hot air until I actually do it, right?
Yeah. I mean, hey, as long as you have your instrument and there are a few people listening, I think it's a good time, Yeah.
Can I see that? Can I see the gut stuff? The gut string or the gut frets?
Sure. The way the lute is shaped, it's like built for if you have a concave body or something, right? So you gotta watch it from rolling off the table and everything.
Like an ovation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here, I don't know if it's being made on the video well enough, but
That's close
you can
enough.
see they're tied on.
Interesting.
Here, the knots here.
Up like close to where your face is, that's where the
On here, yeah.
and I can zoom in on that stuff.
So they're movable, and they're gut, and you tie them on. You can change the size of the fret with ease,
But it's still a straight fret, right?
Yep, it's straight. I mean, what's the advantage of gut frets is really interesting. You think metal frets would be an advantage because they're fixed, they're not going to wear out, right? And they are perfect for guitar, don't get me wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for an instrument like this, if you have gut strings, then they'll wear out if you're playing them on metal. You could imagine soft gut up against hard metal. You're going to wear out those strings really quickly. The other advantage is as a string becomes untrue, meaning as gut wears out, it's not going to be in tune throughout anymore. So it's like, that third fret, it's starting to go out a little. I can just move the fret a little, and you could put it on an angle and sort of tune it that way. So tuning isn't just how in tune your string is, but it's also where the frets are placed as well.
Wow.
So
neat. But the ones up top there,
these are here. Yeah, these are glued on pieces of wood.
Those are fixed.
Yeah, those are fixed. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's even a little one over here that you could have it glued on. You could tape it on. You could fashion a piece of wood and have it glued on. I'm not sure if you can see on the camera. There's a very little fret on the fourth course, and that's called the tastino. So that's how I could get this pure third that I've been obsessing about this.
Wow. Yeah.
This whole
No,
podcast.
I think I may have brought that up. Like I find that so interesting.
So like my D and F sharp, they'll sound more in tune, and it suits this style of music. I probably, when I'm playing on my 8-string Kiesel, I probably don't want to be playing, with this temperament with tastinos and tastini and everything,
Do you actually have an 8-string Kiesel?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, my wife and I were having a piece written for us. Harry Stafilakis is going to write it. He worked with Animals as Leaders recently. And he's going to write us a piece for piano and 8-string electric guitar. So I'm super excited about that. So you could expect that next year sometime.
What's his name?
Yep. Harry Stafilakis. Stafylakis. Amazing composer, great guy.
Composer, professor, producer, guitarist, Harry.
Yeah, definitely check out his music.
Interesting. Orchestra and large ensemble, yet the picture of him is with an 8-string Ibanez on the front. Chamber and metal fusion.
He's sort of a metal scholar.
Yeah, which is funny because I've never come across him.
So wait, did he work with who's the other guitarist in Animals Leaders? It's not
Javier,
yeah. Because he has like a 7-string classical nylon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure exactly what Harry did with Animals as Leaders, but I know he worked with them pretty recently. And a lot of his pieces have a lot of metal influence in them, which is great. It's right up my alley. So, because I always been a big fan of metal and classical and Renaissance and all of that. So I figure he's the best guy to call for this, Yeah, I met him because I premiered one of his pieces maybe 7 or 8 years ago, which was also for piano and but for classical guitar. And yeah, really cool piece, well written and everything. Yeah.
So he's writing something for lute?
Oh no, he's going to write a piece for 8-string electric and piano.
Got
duo.
it.
Yep.
So are you going to have distortion on it, or are you going to kind of play it clean, crunchy?
I'm not sure. I mean, if he calls for distortion, I mean, I hope so. I hope to have a little pedal board set up and everything. Yeah. So I'll get to revisit my roots, and my hope with that instrumentation is that, and people from, classical fans as well as jazz fans and metal fans there hopefully all those people want to hear this music, right? Instead of having that separation with all the styles, because they all really do connect, right?
Yeah, there's a world for that. There's like avant-garde metal. Imperial Triumphant is a band that comes to mind. Those are some.
Oh, I'll check them out. Yeah.
Some friends of mine, Max Skorlik on guitar, Kenny Grahowski on drums, and a bunch of other guys that I'm less familiar with. Max and I have known each other for years, and so have Kenny and I. So, that's why I'm familiar with them, but I'm not so sure. I'm not familiar with the other guys. Yeah, I think they call themselves like metal of the avant-garde genre, and but it's a totally different metal space. Like there is in the kind of music I write, or the kind of music that I could change it any day now, but the stuff that I have been writing for a long time is usually pretty groove oriented. Like some rhythmic, like rhythm is a huge component, and I don't mean loose rhythm or abstract rhythm or rhythm that's for the most part pretty digestible rhythm. And I feel like if I said that to some people, they'd be like, "What the hell are you talking about, Nick? The rhythms you write in your stuff is so like wild. It does like." but I mean,
you can feel it. It's definitely something you can feel.
You can feel, yeah. You can, even if it's a little bit tricky to nod your head to. For the most part, you could find it after a couple listens.
Right.
I
call that long-lasting value. Like something that sort of like grows some music just grows the more you listen to it, and you want to listen to it more because of that. So that's a quality I personally like.
Yeah. So I'm really curious about this guy's music now. I need to check it out. I mean, obviously, like Meshuggah comes to mind, right? Like original, like loud groove.
Yeah.
Groove
metal.
Yeah,
they've been a big influence for me, for sure.
So are you playing the metal, your 8-string with a pick or your fingers?
Yeah, I mean,
Whatever.
Now I'm just kind of tinkering around on it. I always played 7 strings and 6 strings. Mm-hmm. I just got this maybe, I don't know, last year, this guitar, the 8-string. And I've been using a pick now, just trying to get my chops up and everything, because I haven't had an electric guitar gig in a long time. Yeah. But it's something I grew up doing and I love it. So, I'm just excited to get back into it. But I figure I got everything I would normally not get. Like I got like the headless, I got the fanned frets, I got 8 strings instead of 7. I just want something different so that when I pick, because as you know, a different tool, a different instrument just makes you think differently, and you come up with different things. Maybe use your ears more because you're not used to the movements that you're used to making, So that's why I got it, and I just contacted the composer right away, and I'm like, I need some music for this,
Interesting. I've never even thought of that, but it would it'd be cool to collaborate with someone on something.
Yep.
Even to have to work with someone like him on a piece together, or like, hey, just send me some ideas, something that you're okay with me kind of manipulating, just kind of piggybacking off of, and maybe we can send some ideas back and forth.
Yep, that's the other reason to collaborate too. You just get more ideas, right? Steal each other's ideas, share ideas.
Yeah, when back in the original the OG Everforth Rate days, when we were working on that first album, Kevin Theodore and I would write music together all the time for just hours and hours, and the ideas we would come up with together were just so great. And I haven't had like a writing buddy like that in a very long time, but it was so fun. And I can't really. I've tried writing with other people, but it doesn't really pan out, but it doesn't mean that it can't again someday.
I'm sort of I compose very slowly. So it's tough. Yeah, it's definitely tough to work write with other people, but I guess you get a different outcome at the same point.
Yeah.
Right?
So do you have albums, or have you?
No albums at the moment. I guess I've been afraid to record an album. I feel like there's so much to learn, and I keep changing my sound. I keep changing my technique and experimenting. And just when I think I'm gonna, maybe I'll record, or maybe I'll, I keep the concerts going, of course, but then I change something, and or I'll start studying with somebody else and get new ideas from them, so.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So mostly live performance for me up to this point,
I mean, you could do a live album.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
mic some stuff and do it that way.
Yeah.
Alan Hankers is a piano player, keyboard player, composer we spoke to on here a couple days ago. He has a metal band called Gia, Jia. And he's a music professor, PhD in composition. I think he teaches in Montclair, New Jersey, I think he said, but he got his PhD from Stony Brook. We had talked about the concept of documenting the process. Like, don't.
Oh, neat.
Just do it. Just record it, and it is what it is. For you're kind of stamping something at this point in time, and maybe everyone doesn't like it, but opinions change. There's nothing stopping you from writing 1,000 to recording 1,000 more albums after that.
Right.
And that's kind of the way I'm thinking about it too, is I was just in the studio in May, and I booked that 6 months in advance without having even anything written. I was like, I just got to get into the studio, and having something set is going to force me to write some music. And, so that's the approach I took, and I think it came out great. This is for the Noah band.
Right. Yeah.
Stuff I've been kind of posting.
I'm excited
a lot about.
to hear that, by the way. I've heard, been watching you on Instagram and everything. It's interesting stuff for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool. So that's one way to do it too, is like kind of putting yourself into a corner. Just book some studio time and saying, okay, in a year from now, I need to think about what the heck I'm going to do. I'm thinking about doing the same thing for like a jazz standard thing as well. I've never recorded a jazz standards album. And there's a good studio a couple miles from here that does a lot of jazz albums, and I was thinking of booking it for like 6 months from now and just forcing myself to think of something that I'm going to do when I get there in 6 months. Could be a trio, could be a quartet. I have no idea.
That's sort of how I work with when I book concerts. I'll just book dates at random venues with no plan. And you just have to come up with a program or find people to play with, or go solo if you can, and you just see what happens, right?
Yeah, that's the cool thing about classical, is that it kind of it ramps you up for solo performance.
Right.
It kind of forces you to get used to it really quick.
Definitely, yeah.
You give like a metal guitar player someone that only plays metal, guitar, and then say, okay, play a song for, your grandma's visiting. Can you play her a little song? Like, what the hell do you do?
Right. Yeah. I had that problem half my life, before.
Isn't that a tough problem? Like little Jimmy's a great guitar player. Like, he's got 10,000 followers on Instagram. Like, can you play, your grandma's visiting. Can you play her a song? It's like, no, Mom, it doesn't work like that. I'm a different kind of guitar player.
Yeah, I remember when I was 9 years old and my grandmother was visiting from Florida, and come down and play guitar for us. And I think I was played through like a Nirvana song or something on heavy distortion.
I did the same thing.
And that was my big performance,
My grandma was visiting one time, and I was just starting to play the guitar. I was probably like 13, and I was playing some Hendrix thing, and I saw Hendrix do like a some trill thing and like wiggle his tongue,
Right,
like,
right.
and then I did that to my grandma, and she's like,
Oh man, what a
she's like,
scene!
she was the one paying for guitar lessons.
So this is what you're learning, right?
Yeah, like that guitar teacher better teach you some nice music, or I'm canceling them right away. So, but Omar, remind me, we need to name this episode something like "You better have some music prepared for your grandma." No, but seriously, it's not an easy thing to do. Like, if you don't kind of put yourself in that scenario, no matter what kind of, and I guess any instrument, someone asks you to play, what are you going to play?
Right.
Isn't that, it's kind of anxiety inducing, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And,
I feel like a good analogy is also, you ever hear comedians talk about when they tell someone they're a comedian by profession? They're like, oh, tell me a joke. It's like, this is not the setting.
That's
this
the
is
other
not
thing.
the way this works.
How you tell jokes in front of an audience is just much different than how you joke around with your friends or with your family.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's also very difficult.
Yeah. So, that's pretty similar. Yeah. Or if you're at a party and there's a guitar in someone's bedroom, and they're like, oh, like, Nick's here. Nick, there's a guitar in that bedroom. Can you play something? Like, do you want me to, like, we're all drinking. What do you want to hear? Do you want to hear like Wonderwall, or do you want to hear obnoxiously annoying jazz? Do you want me to play a metal riff on the
And it's usually a guitar that's with the strings an inch off the fretboard. And you can't play it anyway, so nerve-wracking moments. I've had plenty of those.
Yeah, like,
as a kid,
man, I'm not playing the guitar. Well, what is the right answer? What's the right thing to do? Say no? Like,
right,
you know, there's the guitar, there's everyone waiting for you to play something. The guitar,
and then you're just kind of building it up the more you say no, right?
Yeah, no, I don't want it. I'm like, come on, do it, play it.
Right.
So, what do? Do you just like, because the thing to remember too is that people don't care like half as much as you do.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to just like quickly maybe tune the guitar to some open string, like almost like like slide guitar kind of thing, just a big open major chord, something where you could just strum it really hard and maybe bar the 4th fret or bar the 5th fret and play some 1-4-5 thing. It helps a lot. It helps a lot if you could sing.
Well, this could be a whole guitar course that we design, right? What to play when asked at a random situation, to play in front of family and friends. What do you play?
What do you play? Yeah. I had a friend growing up that, so I guess we don't know the answer to that, right?
We do not.
No, we don't know the answer to that. I guess it might depend how drunk you are, and like how drunk everyone else. There's a lot of factors here. So I say, oh yeah, I had a friend growing up that his family did recitals, like with a brochure, like a program and everything. So, everyone in the family, aunts, uncles, family, friends had their kids in. I think it's a great thing. I might even do this one day. Honestly, it teaches discipline, and I want my son to have music.
And then you could prepare for it, and you know what to play, and you're not in that.
Yeah, but it was cool. They would set up,
right?
Yeah, they would set up like chairs in the living room, and I played at a couple of these recitals because he was playing jazz piano and I was playing jazz guitar. So I'd go to wherever that house was, at an aunt's house or a grandparent's house, and I'd play at the yearly family recital. But there was people there. There was like 40 family members there, and
those are really the best concerts.
Yeah, it was great.
I spoke about group muse before, and it's kind of how their concerts are. A host, somebody volunteers to host a concert, and they find the musician, and people come. The musician gets paid, everybody's happy, and it's the best scenario too for the music I'm playing right now.
Yeah, I was thinking about even doing that, like now, just because I live in the suburbs. I could tell a small group of people, hey, come to my house. Like I'm trying to do like a regular recital thing. They might be like, what? It's weird. All right, but I guess I'll come. Gonna kill me when I get there.
Well, count me in, Nick.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. If I do it, I know a lot of really great musicians. Like, why can't I set up a drum set, an upright bass, and a guitar in my living room and play an hour set for people that know that I play the guitar who are in the area? There's, why the hell
Totally,
not?
yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything you wanted to mention that we didn't get to?
I guess nothing big, but since we got onto that topic of metal and we started with lute, maybe I'll just mention that, the reason I got into playing the lute was because of metal. I remember being in 10th grade or 9th grade and, at Tower Records flipping through the CDs. And I saw a sticker on one of the CDs that said Epic Hollywood Metal, Symphonic Metal or something like that. It was Rhapsody, the Dawn of Victory album.
Oh, nice.
And of course there's lutes, it's an Italian metal band and they have lutes and everything. And
that's awesome.
It's like heavy Baroque music,
Oh,
and
yeah,
that's when I said,
that.
I have to learn how to play the lute now, So it's interesting how metal is more universal than we think it is. Like it really ties into so many styles.
Yeah, it's probably a wild assumption, but I feel like if Coltrane or Stravinsky, if they had access to 8-string metal, like heavy metal guitars, they probably would have used it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
If Coltrane was putting out music in the 80s and 90s, there's a lot of guitar players I would, if he kept on going down that route of, that out music that he was writing.
Right.
I could absolutely see him playing with a whole wide variety of heavy guitarists
and who knows what kind of instruments would develop from that, because it's almost like instruments come about. I don't like to say evolve with instruments. I don't think they're improvements on instruments. They just change sort of to fit the room you're playing in, the architecture, to fit the demands of the people and how the composer writes and all, So yeah, definitely interesting to think that.
What are you currently practicing, or what are you currently mainly interested in?
Well, I was just doing I just did 5 small solo shows, and it's a lot of really early Italian 16th century music, like composers like Marco dell'Aquila, Francesco da Milano. I've also been playing a lot of the English music from, early 17th century, like John Dalland and John Johnson. I'm starting to get into later French stuff. And when I say later, I mean closer to the Baroque period. Like around 1620. That's like late music for me. So like Nicholas Vallet and Michael Agnolo Galilei, who was actually Galileo Galilei's brother, the scientist. Wow. Yeah. So that's the music I've been playing. The next show I have is at the end of August at Shoal Street Studio. And I'll be working with my friend Morgan Manifacier from France. He's an excellent tenor, great singer. And we'll be doing French songs and English songs. And I'll also be throwing in some solo music as well. Yeah, so that's what I've been working on lately.
Cool. Are you playing much Bach?
Right now, no. But I do have it. I don't have the big lute with me, but I have a big, it's like an early Baroque, late Renaissance lute. It's a 10-course lute. And I really have a fugue of his in mind that I want to adapt for it. So perhaps this year I'll be playing more Bach. For sure.
At some point in my life, I'll go into a Bach phase and really understand. I'd like to really understand his language, because
it's wild.
It really influenced a lot of jazz as well. I don't think I could talk to I still speak with some of my favorite guitar players online, and occasionally I reach out for a lesson still. And when we're analyzing like a Keith Jarrett solo or Charlie Parker, guys that are really playing bebop language, like original bebop language, we can't go 30 minutes without mentioning Bach.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard, well, let's put it this way, Bach would do it.
Right.
That expression I've heard so many times, and I want to understand it better.
I mean, his music's a great source for how to improvise, because that's like his music. It's almost like he wrote out his improvisations. It's just so detailed, where a lot of other composers at the time, they sort of wrote in a way where they leave it up to the performer to do all the fancy stuff and whatnot. But Bach wrote it all out, so it's
I had briefly mentioned before, something that I'm experimenting with is that original, that classical theory, week one, well, maybe not week one, but here's the minor scale. It's called the melodic minor going up, and it's la ti do, and it's la te do on the way down. And there was a period where I heard that, and I was coming from this jazz mindset of that's stupid. No, melodic minor is melodic minor. It is what it is. And but now, I think even in my last couple of Instagram posts, I'm playing lines that I've practiced that are different going up than they are on the way down. I'm really embracing that very concept, la ti do on the way up, la te do on the way down, and even on dominant chords, that flat nine going down. You know how you have like that root flat nine major third, and if you dabble in that too much, you start sounding like you're playing like gypsy music. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna play a whole bunch of licks or anything right now, but
I miss the guitar and how it stays in tune.
Like one of these things.
Right.
But if you dance around this too much, it gets a little bit gypsy sounding.
Right.
So what I've been experimenting with a bit of like.
Right.
So
it's interesting you bring that up because the music I'm working on too, and the Renaissance music, it's like that for every mode actually. Like for Dorian, and I joke around my students that Aeolian, melodic minor is basically just like a big scam. It's really just the Aeolian mode because it was practice at that time period to raise those notes to sort of, just pull. It's a lot like jazz in that sense too, right? You're changing notes in a way to pull to your goal note, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. We should, if we start talking about this now, we're going to be here for another hour.
Oh yeah.
But one of the lessons I wanted to do, in addition to this podcast stuff, I wanted to start putting some regular short lessons on YouTube. And one of the first ones I have like on my list here is talking about, passing tones and changing your notes according to where you're headed, like exactly this raise 6th, raise 7th on the way up and flat on the way down, or changing the notes of your 5 chord, again, depending if you're going up or going down. So when I do that, maybe we'll chat again and get into a whole thing on.
Oh yeah,
on
definitely.
Stuff. And I know if you're doing Bach, or I don't know enough about your world to even drop another name, but I know at the very least that if you're going back into Bach, I would love to see how he does, all that stuff. I mean, what is that one piece? Yeah. He does it right off the bat. Let me see. How's it go? There it is.
Oh yeah, da, 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 da. Yeah, the beret. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wait.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Again, this could
let's
be a whole
definitely
other
chat again about all of that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. One last question here on my bullets. Words of advice for other guitar players or musicians.
Okay. My advice is to be versatile, especially if you want to do this professionally. If you're trying to be the next Segovia on classical guitar, you're probably not going to make a living, right? Like,
why is that?
You know, because I just don't, you know, in today's world, I don't think there's enough work with just say, there's just an example, just making it in solo guitar performances.
Oh.
You know, I think, yeah, it's just I think if you're gonna, well, this is how I've been making a living all these years anyway. It's just make sure I'm versatile. I play multiple instruments. I play multiple styles, and I could take many different sort of gigs and go into different situations and be fine with it. You know. So I'm taking this amount of work and I'm making it this amount of work I could take on. So that's my advice, to just be versatile with style and what instruments you play and everything. And I think you'll end up in maybe you start like that and you'll end up with your niche or whatever, you know. And
yeah, but at the same time, do the styles you enjoy. You
right,
don't have
that too. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't have to do like polka. If
right,
you don't,
right. Don't force
like
yourself
polka.
to learn something you don't want to, for sure. Yeah. But that's what helped me personally. Just trying different things and just playing what I want when I want to play it. You know, not limiting myself to one instrument or one style.
All right, dude. So I'll catch you again. Hopefully, maybe I'll see you in person.
Yeah, totally. Great to see you, Nick. Thanks for having me on.
I'll catch you later.
All right, take it easy.